Happy Monday, everybody. I hope your week's starting out well. Sorry we weren't here last week. Meristem was on a little bit of a break. We usually take a pause on Monday practices during that week off. But we're back this week and excited to jump back into transformation, which is the concept that we're continuing with. Just as a reminder, if you are wondering about the Monday practice and want to learn a little bit more, down in the description, you can find links to the intro videos that will kind of explain what we're doing. Also, please like, subscribe, and share any comments or feedback. It's always helpful for us to continue to improve and bring what we're bringing to everybody more effectively. That being said, let's jump in. So the last couple of weeks we've worked with the concept of transformation, and we used really kind of nice examples of transformation, like the caterpillar to the butterfly and the tadpole to the frog. But transformation also has what I might call a dark side. And so this week might dig into a little bit of a heavier element of transformation. Examples of heavier transformation are death, things dying, things decaying, decomposing, and creating an environment for something new that can flourish in a beautiful way. So the concept for this week is, what are the inner barriers that you face to transform? What had to die to create the soil for a new seed to grow? So all of us have gone through stages in our life where there's just hard stuff going on inwardly, and we had to let it go, let it die, work on it, change it, transform it in order to kind of take a further step into life. And so this is what we are exploring this week around transformation. And the practice is research. So using research, explore something in you that needed to be transformed. Work backwards in your biography to identify the source and the soil that led to an inefficiency, an unhealth, a challenge for you that you needed, that wasn't allowing you to navigate effectively in your daily life. So what are we talking about here? An example that I give from my own biography is direct communication. When I traced that back, there was a fear of hurting somebody. And so I found really creative, indirect ways of communicating, which people were confused by, or I didn't say the thing that needed to be said because I didn't want to cause pain. I needed to then face that and practice speaking more directly to transform that element. Even though it might cause somebody else pain, it was way more painful eventually if I didn't speak up for a number of opportunities and then finally spoke up. Many opportunities created a much deeper layer of pain rather than ripping the Band-Aid off right away. And so that was something that I had to transform within myself. And I noticed that was an element that lived in my environment. People didn't speak directly to each other in and around what they were feeling and thinking on certain things. And so that kind of formed how I grew up. And then I realized, hey, that's not working, that's inefficient, and I shifted that. So this is what we're doing. We're going into those things inside of ourselves. We're doing research on them and seeing through that research what shifts and changes as a result of simply doing that practice. The value for this week is, I am the change I wish to see, and collaboration. What is the current constitution of elements in the soil around you, and what could you add to balance it and make it healthy? So for example, in my example of not speaking directly, I found that I was trying to be overly sympathetic towards somebody. And what I needed to do was reintroduce empathy, which allowed me to be sympathetic but also still communicate directly. There's a beautiful book called Radical Candor that kind of describes, if I lean too far towards person-centered, I can become overly empathetic, or if I lean too far towards being direct, I can kind of be obnoxiously aggressive. And what we're striving for as humans is to find that middle ground between those two, where I acknowledge you as a human being, but I also speak directly to you in and around the things that need to be said. So that was a little bit of my journey, and your journey goal is to look at the environment that you're moving through, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, and say, hey, what is the chemistry and the balance of chemistry within the environment that I'm in, and what element could be added, whether it's more humor or more excitement, or maybe it needs to come down a little bit and be a little bit heavier to balance out all of the excitement. That's something for you to explore and evaluate, and then bring in an element that might help bring healthier balance into the whole environment that leads to better growth. So this is our week. We're, transformation, the darker side of transformation, research, and making the changes that need to be made. So coming over to the infographic, we got a beautiful little picture here, the typical lemniscate form. But let's start with just biographical investigation. And so you trace back, like I noticed indirect communication for myself, traced it back, kind of found the origin, of being afraid of causing pain to another. And then in the environment that I grew up in, also that same fear being a habit in the life of the people around me. So that was the soil that was created, the compost that I grew up in. And that led to this plant growing that had a hard time communicating directly. And so I had to let that version of the plant die and replace it with a balance of sympathy, empathy, and antipathy, and to notice that was an element that I needed to change in the environment and bring those new elements in a better, healthier, balanced, constitutional way. And so out of that work, a better health came into the whole environment. You can see the shift that I had to make within my own chemistry internally. I had to shift my communication style. I had to get to the emotional root of the challenge that I was facing to communicate directly, and that could result in pain. And be okay with, hey, better straight communication actually is more freeing to the person that I'm talking with than indirectly communicating. And so that leads to a collective, healthy environment that can grow in a healthier way. And the beauty about this collaboration piece of the value is I can't hold that all by myself. And so a thought might be for this week, along with the practice, is working together with the people around you. How can you collectively hold those elements that could come in to create a healthy environment together? And this is the week of transformation and the Monday practice. As always, this can be a little heavy, this topic, going inward. And so only go as far as you feel comfortable with. Only take on challenges that you feel capable of addressing or facing at this point in time. And as we say at Meristem, let's go forward and awaken the possible.